There are money gurus out there that will try to convince you that credit cards are bad. They're not. They say that credit card reward programs are never worth the interest that you're going to pay. Yeah, that's wrong too. They say, why care about reward points because they'll never make you rich anyway. I mean, they won't make you rich, but if you do this thing right, you will find some serious savings using the points that you accumulate from purchases that you were naturally going to make on a daily basis. In fact, I just saved a bunch of money on birthday and graduation gifts this year using our reward points, which got me to thinking, how about I show all of you how we live on credit cards and how much money those points have saved us in the last 12 months. All right, here we go. Hey dreamers, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiana Clewis, an author, speaker, executive pastor, and coach who's made it her mission to help Christian women trapped in the 9-to-5 life overcome the money worries that are stopping them from stepping full time into their God-given calling. And now that you know who I am, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Actually, hold on. Before we get too deep into the video, I want to make something clear. Living off credit cards is not for everybody. Research shows that roughly half of Americans who use credit cards carry a balance month to month, so everyone is not ready for this lifestyle. I mean, after all, the interest you pay on that monthly balance will quickly negate every benefit I'm about to talk about in this video. So stay to the end and I'll tell you how we made the transition to living on credit cards without making thousands of dollars in interest payments. So let's have some fun looking at the things my family and I were able to get using credit card reward points. Some of my most recent purchases are a pair of Series 7 Apple Watches for my aunt and for my dad for their birthdays back in May. In the last couple of years, they've made the switch from Android to iPhone, and I thought it might be fun to get them the watches to go along with their new phones. The one I got my dad was the 45mm, and the one that I got for my aunt was the 41? Yes, the 41mm. And when you look at the prices, they're around $429 and $399. So already I've saved over $800, and my aunt was so excited that she actually had my cousin turn on and connect her watch at the party. So within 30 minutes, she was walking around with her brand new Apple Watch, crazy happy. It also just so happens that while perusing the Apple pages for them, I also picked up a little something for myself. Those will be my new green AirPod Maxes that I absolutely adore, but refuse to buy myself because they were $549. Look, I absolutely love great sound, but not $549 worth of sound when it has to come out of my bank account. But I didn't mind spending it with the points. And like my aunt, I was so excited to get this box in the mail that I took the package with me to one of my son's appointments, and I set them up while I waited for him in the car. What can I say? I like the color and the noise canceling feature. A few months ago, I also made a purchase for our youngest son, who is 7. Now, I'm not a big fan of children having phones, but my oldest 3 are from my husband's first marriage, and they all received phones at a really young age. So it was only fair that our youngest got a phone at a younger age than I preferred, especially since his siblings had brought up more than once how young they were when they got their cell phones. And they certainly weren't any more emotionally mature than he is now. So I used some points to save $861 on an iPhone 12 just from him, which he now uses to play games, to watch YouTube, and to FaceTime me when he wants something. Mommy life, right? On that same order, I also grabbed a replacement iPad Pro for my husband, which he uses for work, preaching gigs, and even for giving commencement speeches like he did at his alma mater recently. With the 512 gig upgrade, his 12.9-inch iPad would have cost over $1,300. But I didn't even have to pay for shipping. I mean, come on, awesome, right? As a person with neat freak tendencies, I felt the need to also get a modular charging system that would help me neatly arrange my devices on my nightstand while they charge. That was another $200 that I kept in my pocket. Before that, I saved another $239 on some tools to help me stay organized. Let me be honest, I'm the type of person where everything has a home, which is great for when I need to tell people where to find stuff when I'm not around. But it also means that when something isn't in its assigned home, I have no idea where to look for it. So I grabbed a 4-pack of AirTags with leather key rings in various colors in order to track some key items. Now I just use the Find My feature on my iPhone, and it really helps me to find my car keys when I've accidentally left them in a hoodie or a pair of jeans. So just on the stuff that I've told you about, I've saved $4,005 before taxes. And now that I think about it, I want to let you know that no, this video is not sponsored by Apple. I just happen to be married to an Apple guy who converted the entire family, including me. Oh, but I didn't just buy stuff. I also found records of 5 flights, a car rental, and a hotel stay in the last 12 months as well. Now, at first I couldn't remember what those trips were for because my husband and I do try to take regular weekend vacations, just the two of us for a date. But I do believe that some of that airfare was for the vacation that we took to Jamaica for my birthday last year. While we had both been to Jamaica before, it was the first time we went together. And since it was a quick weekend trip, we wanted to spend the bulk of our funds on the resort and not the flights. So the reward points went, well, towards getting that done. And I also later realized that the car rental actually came about when I had to put the SUV that I used to drive in the shop. Even though it wasn't super old, it was like a 2016, the AC was randomly going out in the middle of a car ride. And in Texas summers, I would consider that a legit health hazard. So we put it in the shop and used points to reserve a rental car. So no points aren't just for fun. They can come in handy in a pinch when there's something that you need help with that, happens to be on the list of benefits. So all the flights, hotels, and rental cars I found amounted to $6,078.26 in savings. Insane, right? When you add that to the stuff I bought, that's a grand total of $10,083.26 in cash savings just from using the reward points on our credit cards. Oh, and remember, that's not the true total. Not all of our cards have great records on what you spend the rewards on. And one of our cards even connects to Amazon.com and PayPal for making purchases. So in reality, you could probably add a couple more grand to that total, but we'll just stick to the numbers that I can actually verify. So yeah, I saved over $10,000 on products and experiences by simply living my life and making purchases for my family and my business that I was going to make anyway. I mean, I knew it was a lot, but even I was surprised when I added up the total. And yes, like a nerd, I did whip out a quick Excel spreadsheet to calculate this all, but I'm not gonna show it to you because the formatting is ugly and your girl has standards. I can't breathe. Okay. At this point, you're probably wondering what kind of fees we paid and if we paid any interest. And those are some really good questions to ask, so let's go ahead and take a look. After going into each of my credit card accounts, I took some time to add up the annual fees and the interest that we paid. Ideally, you shouldn't be paying any interest because you're paying off the balance in full every single month. But your girl's gotta be completely transparent. I have to admit that I went through a period where I got really lazy in monitoring pay dates, and I would sometimes pay the credit card bill a few days late. As a result, we did pay some interest. Also, as a result of that foolery, I now pay off the cards each time Boyd and I take a salary from the business instead of just once a month. That way, I'm never late paying off the full statement balance, allowing us to avoid those pesky interest charges. So yes, I may be a personal finance maven, but I'm not perfect. I too get lazy and mess things up sometimes, so don't beat yourself up if it happens to you. Just create and execute a plan that will help you do better going forward. All right, now let's do some math. Each of the cards that we're looking at did have an annual fee. The business card had a $199 fee, while the other two were $99 and $29 for a total of $327 of all the cards that we paid for reward benefits. As for interest, we paid $0 in interest on our business card because I am religious about paying that one off every single week or two. On our personal cards, we paid a total of $163.61 for one card and $360.58 on the other. In total, that's $524.19 in total interest charges that I paid over the last 12 months. If you add that to the $327 in annual fees, we essentially spent $851.19 in fees and interest in order to save over $10,000 using our rewards benefits. That's a return of investment of over $1,000 for purchases that, again, I was going to make for the family and for the business anyway. Now, you personally may not see that same level of return if you're not an entrepreneur or if you do have a business that has very little overhead. Since we invest a ton in marketing and for contracting services, our ROI is pretty big. But if you don't have that to help boost your reward points, it's okay. As long as you're saving at least 2 to 3 times as much as you're spending on fees and any interest, then I think it's still a pretty good way to go. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. And while you're sharing your thoughts in the comments, go ahead and tap that like button. And if you haven't subscribed already, do that by clicking the big red button below. All right, now let's talk about how we made the shift to living on credit cards. It's actually pretty darn simple. First, my husband and I got very disciplined with creating and sticking to a monthly budget. Through that practice, we learned how to live within our means month after month. This is vital because if you aren't living within your means, you will quickly find yourself in some serious credit card debt. Yeah, trust me, I've been there. For a video on how to create a monthly budget, check out the one that's right here. It'll walk you through the process in detail. Second, over time, we began to move bills from the checking account to the credit cards. Things like the electricity bill, phone bill, gym memberships, toll tags, school lunch account fees were shifted, stuff like that. We didn't do this all at once, but slowly over about a year. And if you're wondering why, it's because increasing our uses of the card slowly allowed us to gauge if we were really responsible enough to live this way. Since there are some bills like mortgages that will always have to come out of the bank account directly, we wanted to know, could we balance the appropriate use of both while staying in budget? We also wanted to know that if we misstepped, could we course correct quickly enough to avoid paying a ton of interest fees, or would we jack that up? This also meant tracking our budget almost obsessively. Since my husband hates the budgeting process, that kind of fell on me, but I'm good with it. As long as your household has someone willing to do the detailed budget monitoring to make sure that you're still living within your means as you make the shift, then you have a really good chance of successfully completing this particular stage. And finally, after about a year of successfully using our cards without amassing debt, although there were some months that we overspent a little here and there, we went ahead and just took the plunge. Everything that could go on the credit cards went on the credit cards. And I mean absolutely everything, including daily purchases. We don't swipe debit cards anymore, and I rarely even carry mine, frankly. The idea here is not only to maximize the points, but also to avoid the temptation of spending on both the debit and the credit cards. The only thing that had to stay on the debit cards were things like our mortgage, his old student loans, and our cars, which are all paid off now. We put those things on autopay and we just kind of left them in the debit account. But everything else went through the credit cards, and as long as we were spending based on our actual budget, the money to pay off those cards was always just sitting there waiting to be used to pay them off every single month. Now, naturally, you're still monitoring the budget to ensure you're living within your means, but that's really it. You're just spending the budget via credit cards instead of via debit cards like you were doing in the past. It's pretty easy, right? Now, your transition may not be as slow as ours, but we wanted to be sure that we trusted ourselves to not get into overwhelming debt again. So if you have the same concern, or frankly, if you've ever been in credit card debt before, I recommend making a slow shift instead of a sudden full-on just head plunge, so that if you do mess things up, you can quickly stop, reverse course, and minimize the financial damage. Out of the frame. But all right, there you have it. Fun things that I've paid for this year with credit card points and how you can make that transition too. What are your thoughts? I know some people will come for me, and that's fine. I have a thick skin, but I'm not the only person successfully doing this. I've come to believe that it's all about your personal self-discipline, but maybe you have another viewpoint. I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Oh, and before you go and make your comments, don't forget to let me know that you found this video useful by hitting that thumbs up button and subscribing to my channel by clicking the big red button below. Be sure to hit the bell so that you're notified each week when I drop brand new money tips and biblical strategies to help you break through your financial barriers so that you can step big, bad, and boldly into your God-given calling on a full-time basis. Now with that, I'm actually going to get ready for vacation, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.